On this month's episode of GroupCollect the Podcast, SYTA 25 is in the books and we talk about it. We also cover the newest GroupCollect Register development, date-based pricing windows, and our upcoming live Zoom event where we recap all the GroupCollect Register developments of the summer, as well as give a refresher course on features frequently utilized during the peak registration season. But of course, this episode crescendos with an interview with GroupCollect's new Senior Vice President of Strategy, Keith Snode, who has a powerful message about the intersection of technology and humanity in the group travel industry. It's all right here on this episode of GroupCollect the Podcast. All right, everyone, welcome to GroupCollect the Podcast. This is the only show on the internet that's going to bring you insights from the world of group travel technology, as well as news about your favorite group travel tech company, which is, of course, GroupCollect. I'm your host, Eric Young, and I am joined, as always, from Weymouth, Massachusetts, by my co-host, Ryan Kramer, and from our headquarters in St. Augustine, Florida, by Kathleen Wiles. But I have to ask right off the jump to both of you, how was Savannah, Georgia, and SYTA 2025? Kathleen, let's start with you.
It was great. It was a good time to be there. The weather cleared up a little bit. We had some rain the first couple of days, but so we were able to get to see quite a few people, which is always so much fun to see people in real life.
How about you, Ryan? What was your big takeaways, impressions, thoughts, emotions from SYTA 25?
So I sent Bud, who, if you're listening to this podcast, I don't need to explain who Bud is. I sent Bud a text yesterday while I was at the airport because I was reflecting, and I'm like, Bud, like you need to understand this show for me is like being a kid in the candy store, just because being a theme park adult, a Broadway fanatic, a Disney fanatic, they're just all of the different things that I love, being represented there and people to nerd out about all of this stuff with all in one place is just unlike, anything else. It's truly a highlight going to this is my first time going to SYTA specifically, but our industry shows are always a highlight of my year, and this one was certainly no exception. And Kathleen was fantastic getting to spend some great time with you and the team as well.
So, how do you feel that things went? And I want to just also set the stage here that this is really my first time talking to both of you since SYTA.
This is as
So,
real as it gets,
I
folks.
am learning feedback on how things went in real time, presumably as our listeners are. Um, how do you all feel that the innovation station and the sessions and the ability to interact with SYTA attendees, how did all of that feel?
I thought it went really well. It was great to be able to, grab a group for 15 minutes and talk to them about what is happening, what we're working on currently, what the future looks like, and to gain feedback. And it's really good to have question and answers as well too, because if you have multiple people asking the same question, then it's kind of like, oh, okay, we'll look into that, or it's like, yep, like we've got that answer. We know we're headed in the right direction. So it's always great to hear from a big group at one time their feedback on everything as well.
Right. And I'm sure we're going to talk a lot more about this with our guest later on in the show, who is, of course, our latest addition to the GroupCollect team, Mr. Keith Snode, who is also at SYTA. But I'm sure, going to be talking about GroupCollect Ops, which was the primary GroupCollect platform that we were rolling out in a lot of those sessions, right? Ryan, I also heard that you leveraged SYTA as an opportunity to speak with many people in the group travel industry about GroupCollect Ops and record some of their thoughts, feelings, feedback. What was that whole process like, and how do you feel now on the other side of it?
Incredibly gratifying, and a lot of fun. Just on a human to human level, getting to have that many conversations with so many industry peers and industry leaders. But what I hope it does is, it inspires confidence in folks who are going to be the users of this product, that we are committed at the highest level here to making sure that we are building something that works well and that makes life easier. And I just appreciate that so many people are willing to kind of help me understand what that means for them. And yeah, it was wonderful.
What was the number of these feedback sessions that you feel that you conducted?
Oh goodness, if we
Did you
go with
lose count? Were there too many to count?
well, yes, because between our usability testing, between kind of more casual sidebar conversations, between just kind of demos of the system, it was a lot, but it was energizing. Like I had a hard time falling asleep every night because I was so jazzed up about what we were doing.
Oh man, well, you love to hear it.
Mhm.
Um, so Savannah, Georgia in general, how do you all feel about the destination?
Will not be my last time there. Beautiful.
It's a, it's a beautiful city. We didn't get to explore too much because the conference center was on the other side of the river. So I hope those of you who did go and it was your first time did manage to get out. I have previously been there, so thankfully I kind of knew where things were at and what it was like as a city, but it's incredibly beautiful. It's so walkable. The oak trees are just like nothing that you can find anywhere else. So if you haven't been, you should go.
It's like the definition of Southern charm in my
100%.
experience.
Great food, great food.
Yeah.
We were
Um,
talking with one of the members of SYTA, Katie of SYTA, last night. She was like, everybody she was talking to, they were like, oh yeah, we went to this restaurant and it was the best this I have ever had. So she coined the phrase, it's like, Savannah, the best I've ever had. So wherever she was hearing that from everyone, and that's true, one of the restaurants we went to, they had lamb lollipops, and
hmm,
it really was the best lamb that I have ever had. So
yeah. Tough to
join
go
that
wrong with
club.
that. Well, you're welcome, Savannah, CVB, and DMO, because there's your new marketing campaign for the next 10 years. Um, well, I appreciate it. I really hope that everybody that listens to Group Collect the podcast that you may have also crossed paths with there at SYTA really appreciated being able to hang out with you all in person and for everything that you accomplished while you're there. Oh,
I'm
yeah.
so sorry, Eric. Before we move on from this, you had mentioned the innovation station. I do want to give one big shout out to one of our partners in particular here. So many of you commented on those little radio headsets that we had available for you all during the show and how well those were working and expressed interest in having them be a part of what you do. I want to give a shout out to our friends at Whisper for hooking us up with those. I do want to drop, if you are interested in them, you can find out more information at whisper-system.net. They're fantastic people to work with, and as you saw with your own two eyes, great products. So just wanted to give a big thank you to them.
Absolutely. All right, sweet. So we got some product and service plugs here on the show as well. So with that, we wanted to chat a little bit about now that you all are back, we're reflecting inward. In this month's email to users of GroupCollect Register, we are talking about an upcoming feature development that we wanted to speak about, which is the date-based pricing windows that are going to be a feature that will be released in the near future for GroupCollect Register. So I wanted to start with you, Ryan. If you can kind of give us the background on this feature, why it's cool, what people can expect about it, what would you say?
Thank you, Eric, for setting that up there. So as we speak with our users, and Kathleen does such a great job, bubbling up this feedback. So a little shout out to you there, Kathleen. Something that Kathleen had kind of communicated to the product team is, hey, many of our clients, the cost of their tours do not stay static throughout the life cycle of the sale. There are many of our clients who are offering early bird discounts or may change pricing as registration closing draws nearer. And so what we did was we went to the drawing board and decided to implement date-based pricing windows. We originally kind of our shorthand for this project, we were calling the early bird pricing project because that was the use case that we were hearing most often. And I liked thinking of that cute cute little bird flying around, being early. But the
It's
concept,
nice when a feature has a mascot. I agree.
I absolutely, absolutely. I mean, Twitter doesn't have the little bird anymore, so
No, I did. It's a free agent, so
so
bring it
if she's looking for work, she can come over
on. There you
the
go.
mascot for this project. But I think that, well, just to describe how this is going to work, it is going to be a trip by trip setting. So you do not need to decide for your entire company that you want to use this. If there is only one trip or some trips that you want to offer this and some not, all fantastic. On the day that you specify, the price will change in the system. And I do want to emphasize something here, which is that we put a lot of thought into how this will impact reporting. And what we ultimately decided to do is that operationally, we are not going to look at these as bespoke packages. We are going to look at it as a singular package, so you don't have your, per package breakdowns all cluttered up. However, on the financial reporting side of things, we will distinguish what is what. So that is so. Thank you to all of the clients who we talked to who kind of helped us get there. Thank you again to you, Kathleen, for bringing the idea to our attention. Like you said, Eric, we're kind of in the terminal phases now of validation. It's one of those things where we always like to make sure that we've really kicked the tires, if you will, before we roll these things out. So when it is good and ready, when myself and our CTO and our engineers feel that it is ready to be out in the wild, we'll get that out for you and look forward to hearing what you think.
Absolutely. Obligatory shout out to the dev team, as always, for their hard work on this feature development. Who was the primary engineer working on it?
That would be the big man in Toronto, Mr. Nick.
Nice.
Hmm.
Okay, so Kathleen, we've been talking about this as an early bird feature. Are there other use cases that you've been talking to people about, or creative ways that you feel this feature development could also be applied?
I know, offering a discount for early, but then there's also if people are coming in late and they want to be charged somewhat of like a late fee. So if after a certain date you want them to have an additional $50, additional $100 on their trip cost, maybe prices have gone up for certain things, so now you have to pay a little bit more. That's the other end that you'll be able to see as well too. That I think I've talked to a few people about that they're really excited to use for the opposite, the later like a late fee kind of
Right.
rollout.
And I kind of see that not so much as like a punishment out of cruelty, but obviously operationally that like if you tried to jump on this trip at the last minute, like your ticket to everything may be a little bit more. Like just the cost of admission is going to have to go up because in order to get you on, it's going to be more expensive. So yeah, I could totally see that. So those are the major two sides of the spectrum that we're looking at with applying this feature. And it seems like it's going to be something that is very exciting and beneficial for GroupCollect Register users. Um,
Yes, and we hope to be able to preview it a little bit at our next event. So can we throw out a plug for that, Eric?
Yeah, so we're calling this one the Endless Group Collect Summer event. We are going to be previewing a lot, or excuse me, we'll be recapping a lot of the feature developments that have taken place over the summer. That is taking place on September 10th, 2 p.m. Eastern. We will drop a link to register for that event in the show notes. That's also going out in our August email as well. We'll be posting it on Group Collect Social, so check us out on Facebook, LinkedIn, all that. With that, friends, it is about that time we are going to be welcoming our new colleague, Mr. Keith Snode. It doesn't even feel real that he is a member of the Group Collect team, but it is very real. And so we're about to have a little conversation with him, and let's jump right into that. All right, everybody. So here we are with our very special guest and one of our, or if not it, the newest Group Collect colleague. Everybody, please join me in welcoming Mr. Keith Snode. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing great, and thank you for having me here. This is awesome.
Tell us your brand new title with the Group Collect organization.
Senior Vice President of Strategy.
Fantastic. We have a round robin sort of question session for you. We're just going to dive right into things because, as I said before, the people have questions, and we here at Group Collect the Podcast are committed to delivering that information. So, Kaplan, why don't you go ahead and kick us off?
Yes, well, welcome, welcome, Keith. We're so glad to have you here.
Hey.
For those unfamiliar, can you please give us your background story and tell us what your experience has been in this industry?
So I actually started in the industry back in 1994 as a tour director on the road with a company called New Horizons Tour and Travel. I was hired to do that. And I went to their training, and Kathy Lachart, who was the president and owner of the company at the time, at the end of their tour director training, said to me, "You should come work for me." And I'm like, I'm not ready to do that yet. I'm still teaching and loving what I do. And fast forward a year and a half later, and she asked me the question again. She constantly asked me the question, and I came and worked for Kathy at New Horizons in a sales capacity. So that's where my beginning of the industry started. It started right off in student travel, student performance travel, because that's what New Horizons did. And I worked for them for 14 years, and then left after 2 years after they got acquired by TUI, and went and took a break from the industry, went into the mortgage industry.
Hmm.
And I was in the mortgage industry for a couple of years in Columbus, Ohio, and then got a call from Craig Arnold in New York City for Manhattan Concert Productions, and went and worked and helped produce and fill concerts at Carnegie Hall, Lincoln Center, Kennedy Center, and all of those things, and lived in New York City and loved it. Um, so that's kind of the beginnings of my time in the industry. That's a good 17, 18 year run there. And then I stepped back from the industry again and went into the moving industry in New York City. Um, I had a great job, but I was not passionate about it at all, and decided that I needed to get back into travel. And at that point, I joined the team at the Intrepid Sea Air and Space Museum, which I think pretty much everybody knows, but if you don't, it's the large aircraft carrier on the west side of Manhattan. It was a lot of fun to say that my job had my office was on an aircraft carrier. Uh, and Then from there, I went to be the CEO of Kaleidoscope Adventures down here in Florida. So we moved to Florida, my husband and I, and we're there until I came to Group Collect. So that's kind of my story in brief. It's a rather eclectic background. And in between there, I still kept singing quite a bit. So I'm still connected to music. Did a short stint with a few gigs in New York City, and did a lot of church choir work and things like that. So I still kept my music and my background as well. So I've been a supplier and a tour operator, which really keys well into what we're doing here at Group Collect.
And your teaching background is in music, correct?
It is vocal music. I had for the majority of my teaching career, it was 7 through 12. My first year, I taught kindergarten general music as well. So
They're so adorable at that age, aren't they?
yeah, they're adorable. And for most of the days that I was teaching that, they were better behaved than some of the high school students, but that's another conversation. So,
Yes.
um,
I could see that easily. And then one follow-up question to this eclectic professional background of yours. While you were in the moving industry in New York, what were were you hauling the boxes, or were you more on operations, or were you implementing a technological system of logistics, or what were you doing there?
so I was vice president of sales for the moving company. We were actually in New York. We were the East Coast, east of the Mississippi, the largest single site moving company east of the Mississippi in the United States. And then we had offices all around the world. So there was not a lot of time during a given 24-hour period where one of the sales and marketing teams that were in those offices wasn't. I think I had I figured it up one day. There were like 4 or 5 hours a day that somebody wasn't working that was on a team that was reporting to me somewhere. So
Mm.
it was a pretty intense job. We had a lot of fun doing it. It just I wasn't passionate about it. But moving industries logistics through and through. So I learned a lot about logistics and how we get things set up and how to plate things up in a system, because we had a very advanced technological system at the time that plated up the moves for our moving teams. Um, and people could actually go online and put their inventory in and everything. It was pretty advanced for back in, that was 2014, 2015. Um, and so I had a lot of systems integration training at that point on how those things can really affect and help a business grow.
Right. And I feel like that's what I was almost trying to read between the lines on right there is that even though that might not have been in student group travel and may have lacked the passion for you, still feel like it was integral in like your superhero origin story of, where you are now in your career. Um,
It it was a trial by error in many cases because the technology was so new at the time, and we built it all internally. We had a company partner that helped us, but it was they were fully dedicated to us, so it was a full-on process of how to integrate technology to make the process easier.
That sounds
Ah,
familiar.
that is some heavy foreshadowing right
Yeah.
there. And I know that Ryan had the next question for you.
Yeah. So let's keep on this thread here about technology. So when you kind of meld these two worlds together, technology and group travel, what trends are you seeing that have kind of caught your eye the most? And kind of in that vein, what interests you with this kind of intersection of travel and technology? And what do you think the future looks like?
So there's a lot of layers to that question,
Yes.
and I'm going to try to step out and kind of put my strategy brain on this and put this in perspective. It all boils down to me one word, which is connections. Okay. Um, I see a lot of people in the industry trying to connect with each other through technology, whether it's a integration, whether it's a partnership. There's just a lot of it happening, a lot of those conversations happening. There's a lot of those conversations happening with us. But if I step back in history, I feel like we have a lot of technological lessons that we can learn from things that have already happened in the travel industry. And one of the things that we all saw happen many years ago is when OTAs, online travel agencies, started to come to be. Um, it was very clear that their intent was to replace the human travel agent. Okay. And I think the lesson we learned from that exercise is that that doesn't work because there has been this shift back to people wanting that human interaction. They want that knowledge and um, they want that interaction to help them have a better experience when they travel. Okay. I think the same thing could be true of group travel. And I think the lesson we need to learn with that is as we build something and we consider all these connections and how we connect people, that we can't lose the connection with people. That we build technology that enhances what we do on a daily basis. It enhances the experience for the traveler and the user on the B2B situation. But it doesn't try to replace the relationship that we have with the humans that are connected to those brands. And so I think that that's it. It's a what do I see for the future, but also a lesson from the past. It's drawing that lesson from the past to say we have to build something that's really relevant for our clients and for the industry. But in doing so, we have to make sure that we don't try to replace something that has been the stalwart of the success of that industry, which has been the relationship.
I'm going to submit a theory that you inspired as you were answering that question, which is that maybe there is something about travel and our purchase of it as humans that we hold in high enough regard that we will not delegate it to technology exclusively.
Mm.
That's an interesting theory and an interesting idea, and it's probably more accurate than we all want to admit.
Right, right. Um, all right. Well, it feels good to be validated by the VP of strategy.
No, Eric. It's a very true statement. It's just and you all have heard it from suppliers about conversations that I just in my 3 weeks, and I had them in a previous life that suppliers say, I don't want this to replace my relationship. I still want my tour operators to be able to call me, and none of us want that to happen. That's not what we want. But if you look at that model that happened with OTAs, that's exactly what they were trying to do.
Right.
Mhm.
Right.
They wanted people to go online, and all it ended up doing was causing more frustration, not only for the travelers because they had no one to talk to when something didn't go right, or they had no one to talk to when they didn't feel like they were getting the answers they needed. It caused frustration for the suppliers as well because they didn't have control of their product.
Hmm.
And they had no one to talk to. And you still hear it to this day. And so um, what we have to rail against is not to be we don't want to become that.
Right.
And so, what I see as a trend for the future is the companies that succeed in technology, travel technology, are going to be the ones that marry that human interaction as perfectly as they can with AI and all of the new technologies
Right.
that are coming out to make sure that they are a symbiotic relationship. They're
Right.
not fighting against each
Yeah.
other.
It's an enhancement of the human experience of attaining a curated and personalized travel experience via technology rather
Right.
than technology. Oh, if we can put technology in front of everybody, then everybody's going to travel more and there's
Right.
going to be a higher volume of travel, which I'm sure that was the original thought. And then, like you said, as a student of history of the travel industry, you can look back on that and say, that's a pretty clear example of what we shouldn't strive for anymore.
Yeah. Sometimes in history, we learn more about what we shouldn't do than what we should. So,
Yes, that's why they say it's important.
Yep.
yes.
Um, so we're going to drill down just a little bit more now specifically. We wanted to know why Group Collect. Why do you think that Group Collect is positioned to make an impact in the world of group travel technology? And how do you see that really materializing in the next couple of years?
So to go specifically to your first question, why Group Collect? For me, why Group Collect is because of the passion of all the people involved in it. That period, end of story. Everybody that I have talked with, worked with, passionate, even the clients, passionate about what we're doing. So that was a no-brainer. Um, but why do I think the organization is positioned really well for this next chapter of what we're going to create together? It's exactly because of the things that I said in the last answer to the last question, which is everybody here understands that the relationship is paramount over everything. We all have a clear understanding from what Kathleen does, what Ryan does, what you do, what everybody on the team does, that our first job is to maintain relationships with our suppliers, with our clients, with everybody involved in the equation. And if we do that well, the next step should be easier. And so, why do I think that we're positioned well? Is because we all understand that already. And from a culture standpoint and a strategy standpoint, that's the thing we have to maintain, is that idea of connectivity and supporting each other and the human aspect of it. And then we have to start layering in as many of those technological things that help enhance, as I think Ryan or you said, enhance that human aspect. And we all understand that already. That's not a sit down and hey, we have to decide this is the path we're going. We've already decided that that's the path, and so
Hmm.
that makes us, in my mind, well positioned for the next chapter. So,
Yes. Well, speaking of next chapters, what specific group collect project are you excited about working on and delivering to the industry?
um, it's easy for me, which is the supplier side of things, supplier link. I am really passionate about creating some consistency. I don't want to say uniformity because that's not the right word. Consistency in how we can communicate with each other so that it's more effective. And here's my reason for going down that road. My reason is the way we communicate information between suppliers and tour operators right now is clunky and inefficient and costly. Okay. And I would rather go to shows like we just attended, like SYTA, ABA, NTA. I mean, go down the list and spend more of our time talking about how we work together to get more business and work together to make the business that we're doing more meaningful to the people that are experiencing it than sitting down and talking about, well, here's my rates and here's the products I offer. Because honestly, that could be accomplished in an email. But
Right.
the more efficient way is to accomplish it in a uniform way, in a consistent way, so that everybody can share that information and we can move away from the order taking side of things and move into the business development side of things. And so to me, supplier link is the most exciting part. All of it's exciting. So that question is actually really difficult to answer. But that one rises to the top for me because I'm very passionate about it.
And, speaking of how we ought to be using the time at these industry shows, I was so grateful, Keith, that you and I were able to spend so much time together at SYTA doing exactly that, getting to know our current clients and our potential users on the supplier side. Just such rich conversations, and I think a lot of us looked and were like, this is what this ought to be here, not having to do, like you said, the order taking aspect of it. But to kind of segue us here, like I said, for me, that was an absolute highlight of my trip to SYTA. I would love to just hear your recap of how SYTA went for you. What were the highlights? What did you learn? Anything else you'd like to share about our time together there in Savannah?
Well, first of all, I enjoyed it too, Ryan. It was great. It was great, like I told you, to nerd out with a fellow tech slash Broadway nerd. Anyway, I actually, first of all, want to give kudos to SYTA and to Angeli and the team at Visit Savannah. It was probably one of the best SYTA events I've attended in a long time. I mean, not the other ones were bad. It's just this one was really, really powerful. I felt everybody was there to really connect and talk about new ways of doing things, talk about new business. And so it was just a really powerful event for me personally. It was also personally exciting for me because I was stepping in with a new way to look at things. So, and I felt very embraced by the entire SYTA community, and I'm grateful for that. So, it was a great show. But then finally, the thing that you were working on while you were there, that research element, really supports the question that Eric asked, which is how is GroupCollect positioned? I think that the fact that the company is so supportive of us spending time and resources to sit with clients and potential clients and say, what do you think? Tell us how it works. What doesn't work for you? What do we need to do to make sure that you are supported in a way that helps you grow your business and doesn't feel intrusive? And all of the time that we took to do that at this, I just look forward to doing more and more of that because it creates connectivity with everybody we touch, and makes our product more meaningful to everybody that uses it. So that part of the SYTA experience for me was just mind blowing. It was awesome. So.
I think that's the culture that, we're trying to create here at Group Collect, and something I think that's just going to be helpful and a trend more than likely of SaaS moving forward is ownership. Like we want users to feel like they have ownership over these platforms that we're creating. Sure, we have the know-how, and yes, we can steer the ship because there's a lot of people on our team that have experience in the industry, but more than anything, it is just paramount that users feel like they have had an impact on the creation of what's coming next.
Yep.
And I feel like, yeah, the two of you at SYTA, especially Ryan with the research sessions, that's really what we're forging ahead with. Now, I know that SYTA was everything. It was a lot of fun. It was very insightful. It was emotional. It was moving. Kathleen did TikTok dances. There are experiences all over the human spectrum of emotions. So, if to wrap up this wonderful interview, and we've covered a lot of heavy topics so far, so this last one's going to be one with a bit of levity. If there were a hard pivot in your job description here with GroupCollect, and you had 1 month to shape the team that went to SYTA into a musical performance act, what would it be and why?
This is hands down the easiest question you've asked me today because it would be without any hesitation whatsoever. Okay, go. I won't let you down. I won't let you down. No, I won't let you down. Have you seen the video?
Is that the one? Is this the one with the treadmills?
The treadmills.
No, it's the
No,
little
it's not.
scooter things in Korea. It's the little scooter things.
Oh,
Fellas,
Okay.
I
Did
won't
they
let you
also do
down.
the treadmill video?
They did. Yes.
Yeah,
That
they
was
did the
OK Go
treadmill
as well,
video.
right? Okay, gotcha.
And
I'll have to
yeah,
send it to you. I'll have to send it to you. But first of all, I won't let you down. You know, the words are like, you just need someone to trust. I won't let you down. That's totally us. We're not going to let you down. But
Oh, wow.
But the whole technological side of it, and first of all, the four guys in OK Go are just geniuses as far as I'm concerned. If you've ever seen any of their videos, like the technology that they layer in with the human aspect of what they're doing and everything. So they're one of my favorite groups. But hands down, I would teach everybody to ride one of the little scooters and do the umbrella thing. And we would, like, out in the parking lot in Savannah, we would have just had it. We would have done it, man. It would have been
So you
awesome.
wouldn't even need a month.
I
Like,
wouldn't, because you can program everything. So you just like,
yes. Oh, wow.
you just get Eugene to program it all and it's all set, it's great.
What I like the most about that answer is it's so on brand and quite possibly ties in every single theme that we've talked about so far in this interview. So I
Okay, well
really hope.
that part of it was not planned. Like, so when I saw it, I'm like, oh my God, OK Go has to have the perfect song for this, and that's when I went out and found that song. So
Oh,
yeah.
it's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing. Well, I hope everybody on the SYTA team can ride a scooter because you never know when we might need to bust that out.
Or open and close an umbrella quickly because that's what they
Yes.
have to be able to do. So, and dance while you're doing it. So you've got to, it's a whole thing. So, and I have to say that I would love to see all of us try the scooter thing because I think it would be just hilarious for that to happen. But anyway.
I mean, these are some solid group collect retreat ideas if I've ever
Yes.
heard them.
Yeah. Like we need to do it at a very open parking lot, so just for the liability.
Sign your waivers of liability first, everyone.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. So,
Hey, we really, really want to thank our very special guest and colleague once again, Mr. Keith Snode, for taking the time. Thank you to my co-hosts, Kathleen and Ryan. And thank you to everybody for listening to Group Collect the Podcast. That's it for now. We'll see you. All right, everyone, that will do it for this episode. A reminder that this show can be found on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. Please be sure to comment, share, subscribe whenever you feel like it. But if you really want to say something about the show, email me at eric@groupcollect.com. A special thanks again to our guest, Keith Snode, and my co-hosts, Ryan and Kathleen. And with that, my final reminder to you, dear listener, until next month, stay cool and collecting. This has been a Group Collect production.